Hello, I'm Michael Rudder. This is number 0857, the Stuff File program with Peter Anthony Holder, and it comes to you right now.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
Now, it's time for an eclectic mix of interviews and some of the oddest news stories you'll ever hear. It's the Stuff File program with Peter Anthony Holder.
Hey there, hi there, ho there! Peter Anthony Holder here with you, and yes, this is indeed another edition of the Stuff File program, number 0857. And coming up on this edition of the Stuff File program, you'll meet Aaron Argueta, who is one of the co-founders of Bailey's CBD, which is CBD for pets. The company got started when his business partner had the idea of packaging CBD for pets.
Jay one day created a label for a CBD oil with hemp-derived CBD with his pug Bailey on the front, who's the namesake and the mascot of our brand. And a lot of people started resonating really well with it. In 2017, we formalized the company. We started with one product, scaled it to 2, 3, 4, etc. And we've grown into the business today as a brand that is passion-driven.
James L. Hill is the author of the short story compilation called The Moth and Other Tantalizing Tales. It features mysteries, thrillers, and science fiction stories. When he sits down to start writing, how does he know which genre the story he's about to write will be in?
The story idea tells me what type of story I'm going to write. And I immediately think, okay, this will make a good sci-fi story. Something comes along, let's say AI or something. All right, so that's naturally going to be a sci-fi story. But you could also think of it as a crime story. Maybe someone has an AI robot that they program to kill somebody. Now that becomes a crime story. It might be a little science fiction in there, but it's a whodunit, how did they do it type of thing. You program the robot to kill somebody and then erase the memory.
Marc Hartzman, the curator of WeirdHistorian.com, shares the story for January of the strange case where initially you wouldn't think that there were enough legs to go around.
The first one-legged man, he co-owned a 2-seat barbershop. This was in Wiggins, Mississippi. And he co-owned it with a club-footed man. And at the back of the shop, the local justice of the peace rented space to use as his office in a courtroom. And the judge had no legs. He lost both of them in a train wreck that happened a few years earlier. So as this article continued, it described a little skirmish in a neighboring town that involved another one-legged man who then, quote, became a little unruly and assaulted a one-armed man with a 3-legged stool.
And there's lots and lots of Stuff File news, dad joke theater, Sir Dudley's Poetry Corner, morning shower thoughts, and of course, an idiot of the day. The guest later, the person who told you this was show number 0857, was Michael Rudder, an extremely versatile actor who has been in films like The Adventures of Pluto Nash, been the voice of video games like Prince of Persia, Warrior Within, and animated television shows like Arthur. He's also a very zen dude and a really, really nice guy. Thank you very much, Michael, for doing the guest slate on this edition of the Stuff File program, a show that is listener-supported, fan-funded radio that depends on you for our success. Join us at patreon.com to help make this show an even bigger and better radio experience. Well, let's get right to the stuff. A Dutch court annulled a couple's marriage this week after their April 19, 2025 ceremony used ChatGPT written vows that lacked required legal language. The judge ruled on January 5th that the artificial intelligence-generated speech failed to meet Dutch civil code requirements. Under Article 1.67, couples must explicitly state
that they accept each other as husband and wife, and that they will faithfully fulfill all duties which the law connects to their marital status.
Instead, the officiant asked if they would keep
supporting each other, teasing each other, and embracing each other, even when life gets difficult.
And call them
a crazy couple.
The court stated the marriage certificate was erroneously recorded in the civil registry and will remove it from city records despite the couple's petition to preserve their original wedding date. Yeah. Well, AI today is like the early days of computers. Don't blame the machine, blame the person using it. Remember the old adage back in the beginning of computers everywhere, which simply stated,
garbage in, garbage out?
A 10-year-old boy drove himself home from W.A. Wright Elementary School on November 14th after arguing with his mother. The incident began at around 1 p.m. when the mother left her child in the running vehicle to drop off paperwork inside the school. Police say a witness saw the car backed out recklessly, nearly hit another car, jump a curb, and speed off. Officers found the vehicle parked in the family's garage approximately 1 mile from the school. The boy told police he drove home following a disagreement with his mom. During the investigation, authorities discovered the father had an outstanding warrant for theft of property, wire fraud, and arrested him without incident. The crimes of a 10-year-old shined a spotlight on his dad's crimes. Who says the family business can no longer be generational? A black and white goat has joined at least 4 vervet monkeys roaming loose in St. Louis, Missouri. The St. Louis Department of Health reported the goat was spotted wandering the same area where the monkeys appeared over last weekend. Authorities continue investigating the animal's origins and request public assistance with information about where they came from. Health Department spokesperson Willie Springer said artificial intelligence-generated photos shared on social media are hampering search efforts. Said Springer, it's been a lot in regard to AI and what's genuine and what's not. People are just having fun. Like, I don't think anyone means harm. Said some local residents like Perion Perry.
I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a viral joke that was going on. But when I just passed by, you guys asked me about a monkey and a goat. And I'm sitting here like, wow, who opened the Jumanji book? What's going on right now?
At press time, officials are still working to locate and capture all the animals while sorting through genuine sightings versus fake AI-created images circulating online. Meanwhile, residents in the area should heed the warning of one of their neighbors.
Make sure your door's locked because the monkeys are loose.
Well, has the U.S. government considered bringing in ICE to round them up? And finally, in this section of Stuff File News, before we get to our first guest here in this edition of the Stuff File program with me, Peter Anthony Holder, a bear has broken into Glade's homemade candies in Gatlinburg, Tennessee for the 4th time. The 35-year-old candy store posted on Facebook on January 9th that, quote, a bear has ravaged our beloved candy shop for the 4th time. Let us join hands in prayer that it is safely captured. What, are they going to put it up on a cross? Anyway, the store added, this persistent bear is a challenge we urgently need to overcome. Photos show a broken glass door, overturned baking trays, and scattered dough and sweets. The shop has taken precautions, including securing doors and using bear-proof dumpsters. Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency placed electric mats for 3 days, but the bear returned after they were removed. The agency says bears emerge from winter dens seeking food when natural sources are scarce. Well, maybe if you just ask the bear what it wants, then it wouldn't have to go and trash the place multiple times.
I'd like a tourist-type picnic basket full of goodies.
And let's get to our first guest here in this edition of the Stuff All program, shall we? Aaron Argueta is the co-founder and CMO of Bailey's CBD. It's a company that has several CBD products that are geared to your pets. Aaron joins us from Long Beach, California via Riverside.com. Hi, Aaron.
Hey, pleasure to connect. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you on the program. How long has this company been in existence and how did it begin?
We were established in 2017. Early concept was developed in 2016. And yeah, we've been around for 9+ years now. We started with a background, my business partner, Jay, who's the CEO, and myself, we both had, some experience in the medical cannabis in California. We were both musicians, and many years ago, we met playing music together. And over time, with our experience and interests, we ended up finding a niche opportunity to develop hemp-derived supplements specifically catered to animals such as dogs, cats, and horses here in the United States under the Farm Bill. There's originally a Farm Bill of 2014, and then it was federally legalized hemp as the Farm Bill of 2018. And so in 2016, my business partner, Jay, had a medical cannabis delivery service where he was, helping patients that a lot of patients that were dealing with autoimmune or life-threatening conditions such as cancer, lupus, etc., and utilizing high CBD extracts. A lot of these customers would find relief, and inevitably, a lot of them would end up asking like, hey, my pets have an autoimmune condition, or my pet's dealing with cancer, my pet is dealing with these things. I would like to try a high CBD product like the one that you were providing for me. So Jay one day created a label for a CBD oil, hemp derived CBD, with his pug Bailey on the front, who's the namesake and the mascot of our brand. And a lot of people started resonating really well with it. So in 2017, we formalized the company. We started with one product, scaled it to two, three, four, etc., and we've grown into the business today as a brand that is passion driven. And we ultimately, wanted to make a product that would serve pets specifically, seeing a need out of the industry early on where everybody was making hemp CBD product lines, and they would have everything under the sun from gummies, smokables like vapes and pre-rolls and drinks, powders, and all these different products. And then they might have one or two products for pets. We saw the opportunity to double down and to create a pet-focused hemp CBD brand. And honestly, the pet industry is so awesome. It's a high growth industry, and the people in it are just so warm and welcoming and awesome. And everybody wants to help their pets first and foremost. So we definitely saw an awesome opportunity to delve into that niche.
When you first started the company, did you confer with any experts like veterinarians to formulate what it was you were making?
Yeah, actually, in 2017, we connected and met with Dr. Robert J. Silver, DVM, who is a holistic veterinarian based out of Boulder, Colorado. He has now 40+ years of experience in holistic health and wellness for pets. He's definitely been a leading voice for cannabis for pets in the United States. He saw our mission early on. He saw that we were, very passionate about what we were doing, and he became our chief veterinary officer. So early on, he helped us develop our formulas and to ensure that, what we were doing was in alignment with a veterinary expert such as himself. So, yeah, Dr. Silver has been an awesome part of our team now for, going on 9 years.
And when you first started this, did you have much competition or were you pioneers in this particular industry?
We definitely were in the pioneer group. There were only a couple of brands emerging around the same time that we were emerging. There was maybe one brand that started before us that we know. Going back, we were definitely in the first group of brands that were focusing on pet CBD parts specifically. In 2019, we saw the height of it where everybody, after the Farm Bill 2018 passed in the United States, it seemed like everybody that had money and a brand or access to capital wanted to jump into the space and capitalize on it. So at the Super Zoo Pet B2B Pet Expo in Las Vegas, Nevada in 2019, we saw the height of maybe 250 plus pet CBD brands at this expo. And we're talking about a lot of celebrity brands and companies such as Martha Stewart, who had a popularized CBD brand, and it was actually funded by a capital group in Canada. And then he saw things like Elvis Presley and his family developing supplements and product lines, including CBD under their Hound Dog brand. And he saw things like Willie Nelson create a hemp CBD brand and make, every product under the sun, including pet CBD. And unfortunately, through the enclave of this industry growing and the realities of the industries taking place, there has been a massive consolidation where I would say we're now one of maybe 15 prominent pet CBD brands that have been around for as long as we have now. And, we've been rolling through the punches and making a name for ourselves organically with the vision of having a long-term household name brand in the industry.
You have many products on the market. What's the most popular? In other words, what is the thing that pet owners want to take care of the most?
We have two product lines that really resonate with what we saw early on as being the main points of interest with pet CBD. We have a calming product line, including calming CBD oil for dogs and calming CBD yummies with compounded active ingredients such as chamomile, valerian root, passion flower, and L-theanine, and our hip and joint formulas, which we do in a soft chewable and a CBD oil format as well, have compounded active ingredients like turmeric, green lip mussel, MSM, glucosamine, which are, a little bit more guided for mobility function support and hip and joint health. Those two things, were obviously I would say the most pressing concerns that we saw from pet parents. Either they wanted to help their pets feel more relaxed and calm, or their pets were either older or dealing with some sort of hip and joint health concerns, and they wanted to utilize CBD for those concerns. So we early on we developed product lines specific for those concerns with compounded ingredients. That way we can, narrow down specifically and meet customers with where the needs were that they were looking for.
We are here in Canada, and yes, CBD for pets is legal in Canada under the Cannabis Act, but it's heavily regulated and it can be sold. The hemp derived CBD can be sold, but there is no Health Canada approved veterinary drugs for pets, meaning that it's marketed its marketing rather is unregulated and is often mislabeled, and veterinarians cannot legally prescribe them. Now, what is the situation in the United States vis-a-vis the government as far as CBD for pets is concerned?
Yeah, so CBD falls under the supplement category for animals, and really there's two main organizations that oversee specific things for animals. We got AFCO, which overlooks feed and food items for animals, and then we have the FDA, which oversees and regulates drug production and distribution for animals. Supplements are regulated under an independent agency called the NASC, National Animal Supplement Council. And early on, actually, we started self-regulating ourselves through the guise of all this by we have putting a QR code and a lot number on every single one of our products that links to a page where you can verify the lab content results. So we independently third-party lab test every batch of our products, and we provide transparency on that lab testing per batch. That way you can verify the content of what's inside of your product by the milligram. And in recent years, we've expanded that to also include heavy metals, pesticides, residual solvents, and mycotoxin testing. That way we know that our product on a per batch basis is clean and the active ingredients and the cannabinoids that we label on them are actually in the product. But yeah, the NASC regulates supplements, and they were really only developed in the 1990s. We have been on the forefront of manufacturing in an NASC regulated facility for many years now, and it's been a process with getting CBD, approved with NASC, and we're actually now finally in the process of acquiring our own NASC certification and seal for our products, which we've been, working through the process over the past few months. It is a tedious process, but it's worthwhile. And like I said earlier, our brand's not going anywhere. We definitely are going to be a long-term household name. So it's an exciting process to go through.
When it comes to CBD oils for dogs, it's a calming effect. And when dogs deal with fireworks, which we can have on New Year's Eve, or in your country, the 4th of July, in our country, Canada Day. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's actually been one of our, selling points over the years, and that's been a very popular time for us throughout the year here at the 4th of July in the United States, and with New Year's Eve. And a lot of animals, they don't know how to discern what a firework is, so they become very scared, anxious, and a lot of pet owners have become more educated about the calming effects of CBD and relied and turned to products like Bailey's CBD. So we do have the calming CBD oil and calming CBD yummy soft chews that we developed specifically with other compound ingredients to help soothe our pets. And through the labeling and marketing of those product lines, we really help resonate specifically with where customers are and what their objective is. So if they are looking for some stress relief, whether it be fireworks or travel stress, separation stress, going to the vet for a vet visit or for the groomers. A lot of times our pets become inundated with this stress, and the natural calming effect of CBD and these other active ingredients definitely helps keep our pets at ease and a little more comfortable. So that's definitely been our most popular item, the calming formulas, and those definitely have given us those boosts around those times of years where stores they stock up heavily on our products, and our website hits record numbers every year for these holidays because people are specifically looking for CBD to help their pets through these times.
And speaking about where your customers are, can you order Bailey's CBD in Canada?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is a bit tricky. Unfortunately, the customs process in Canada can take anywhere from 1 to 4 plus weeks. When you're shipping CBD from the United States to Canada, it definitely is a lengthy process. We do have an international checkout for Canadian customers on our website. It's just, we do forewarn on the shipping selection that it is possibly going to take 1 to 4 plus weeks to pass through customs clearance. It's a part of shipping internationally with CBD. It definitely can take a little longer than expected. And we do have some amazing customers in Canada. We've had amazing testimonials from customers in Canada. And oftentimes we get customers that will spend 3, 4, 5x more than United States customers because they want to stock up on it and they believe heavily in the quality of what we deliver. So yeah, we sure do ship to Canada. It does take a little longer than if we were shipping within the United States. However, for the quality of our products, I will say it is worthwhile, and a lot of our customers have found it worthwhile, as long as you can, stick with us through the customs clearance process.
Well, congratulations on the success of Bailey's CBD, and thank you very, very much for taking the time to be on the program with us.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Aaron Argueta, the co-founder and CMO of Bailey's CBD. You can go to our website at thestuffile.com, check out the show number for this program, which is show number 0857, and you'll find the link to Bailey's CBD website. You're listening to the Stuff File program with me, Peter Anthony Holder.
And now, Dad Joke Theater.
Why did the octopus blush? Because he saw the ocean's bottom.
Join us again for another Stuff File program, Dad Joke Theater.
There's still more guests, more news, and an idiot of the day coming your way on the Stuff File program. Stay tuned. The Stuff File program is a listener-supported, fan-funded radio show that depends on you for our success. Join us at patreon.com to help make this show an even bigger and better radio experience. Sign up and find out about our rewards program. Being a patron doesn't have to be a long-term commitment. There's absolutely no obligation. You could join today and end whenever you'd like, but the time we have your support would be so greatly appreciated. We'd also love to hear your thoughts about the show and even your ideas for rewards. Join us for the ride. Join us at patreon.com/thestufffileprogram. program.
In my heart, I'm standing for Canada. Hi, this is Rick Hansen. As the man in motion and through my foundation, I try every day to demonstrate the limitless potential of people with disabilities. It's amazing what we can do if we do it together, including protecting Canadian jobs and supporting Canadian businesses. Shop as if your country depends on it. Keep your money in Canada for Canada.
You're listening to the Stuff File program with Peter Anthony Holder. The best thing since sliced bread. No loafing here.
And still to come on the program, we will have James L. Hill, the author of The Moth and Other Tantalizing Tales. Plus, Marc Hartzman, the curator of WeirdHistorian.com, is back on the program with the weird story for the month of January. And we have Sir Dudley's Poetry Corner, Morning Shower Thoughts, an Idiot of the Day, and of course much more Stuff All News right here, right now. Police arrested Ariana Moss on misdemeanor charges for stealing a colleague's Stanley tumbler from a Largo, Florida recreation center on December 29th. Video surveillance captured Moss repeatedly examining the 40-ounce light blue cup before concealing it in her lunchbox at Highland Recreation Center. According to the arrest report, Moss had observed the 22-year-old victim drinking from the $60 Stanley cup throughout the day during multiple interactions. A witness told investigators that Moss pointed to the cup on an office cabinet and stated, "This cup would be great to hold my breast milk." Okay. The supervisor quit her position 3 days after the incident and remained unreachable until her Sunday arrest. Moss was booked into county jail and released after her husband posted a $150 bond. Gee, they could have bought 2 Stanley Cups for that and still have $30 left over, but I digress. I bet Ariana is crying over spilt milk. And you know, those Stanley thermos cups have become pretty popular recently. It seems that everybody has one.
Stanley. Built for life.
Not if it gets stolen. Also, maybe they can boost their sales even more if they change their commercial tagline to "Best Place to Store Breast Milk." A Utah man named Michael Grant Robinson faces federal charges after robbing a Wells Fargo bank on January the 12th and using the stolen money to tip a waiter. Robinson entered the bank at around 1 p.m., handed a teller a note reading, "I got a weapon and I need $1,000. He displayed what appeared to be a knife handle under his jacket, though the teller believed it was a gun. After receiving $140, Robinson walked to a nearby Mexican restaurant where he ordered a meal for $19.53. Police say Robinson left the remainder of the money that he obtained from the bank as a tip to the waiter that served him. Officers arrested Robinson shortly after identifying him by his distinctive face, neck, and head tattoos. You know, it seems that this guy just wanted a meal, and sadly, he's about to get them on a regular basis, and he's not going to have to tip anyone. And finally, in this section of Stuff File News, McDonald's is fighting a lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court of the Northern District of Illinois. According to the lawyers who filed on behalf of the 4 plaintiffs, despite its name and distinctive shape, its meat patty has been deliberately crafted to resemble a rack of pork ribs.
What'd you say this was again?
McDonald's calls it the McRib sandwich.
The McRib does not contain any actual pork rib meat at all. Instead, the suit claims, McDonald's used lower-grade parts like pork shoulder, heart, tripe, and scalded stomach in its patties. However, in their very first commercial back in 1981, McDonald's clearly stated,
McRib is all meat, lean pork that's grilled and simmered in a hickory smoke-flavored barbecue sauce, and put on a home-style roll with pickles and onions.
I fail to see the problem here. The suit asks for McDonald's to be ordered to desist from further deceptive naming, marketing, and advertising practices with respect to the McRib. The chain claims it isn't being deceptive. They said in a statement, "Our fan-favorite McRib sandwich is made with 100% pork sourced from farmers and suppliers across the U.S. We've always been transparent about our ingredients so guests can make the right choice for them. You know, as you heard in the clips, in their very first commercial, again in 1981, they were very clear as to what was in their sandwich.
It's a new kind of Q.
McRib? I don't see any bones.
Hey, who wants bones in a sandwich?
Exactly. So obviously, no rib. What are the lawyers going to go after next? I think I'd be worried if I were Pepperidge Farm.
You know they're made with real cheese, these baked and not fried fishies. The snack that smiles back, goldfish.
You mean they aren't actually goldfish? Huh. We're going to get to our next guest in just a matter of moments, but first...
The Stuff File presents Sir Dudley Piddly Havisham Sedgwick Smythe's Poetry Corner.
An elderly man called Keith mislaid his set of false teeth. They'd been laid on a chair, he'd forgot they were there, sat down, and was bitten beneath.
And on to our second guest. James L. Hill is the author of a short story collection called The Moth and Other Tantalizing Tales. It features 8 stories of mysteries, thrillers, and dystopian science fiction. James joins us from New York via Riverside.com. Hi, James.
Hi there, and actually I join you from Virginia Beach. I'm from New York, but I haven't lived in New York in about 20 years.
So you're from Virginia Beach.
I am now living in Virginia Beach, yes.
Actually, I wanted to bring up some of your New York background, and that is, how does someone who grows up in the South Bronx, in Fort Apache, how do you become a computer programmer? That's an interesting road that you took.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I went to Cardinal Hayes High School, and I started learning to program there. And the Diocese of New York had a network. And so I first started learning to program on BASIC. And one of the things they taught us was, if you do this, you'll tie up the computer. You put the computer in an infinite loop. So never do that. So that was one of the first things I did. I created a game that people could play over the network for the Archdiocese. And basically, somewhere in that game, it was an infinite loop. And it would just tie up the network. And that got me started in programming. And the reason why I was interested, because my mom worked in the bank, and we did sort programs to sort out the checks. This is going back for some people, further back than what they probably can remember. But when you went to the bank, you had a check. You gave the check to the cashier. She gave you money. That check then gets routed around to wherever it came from. And bam, it winds up in the other bank. So I helped my mom write the sort patterns for the bank because the checks had to be sorted down to like local banks, local savings banks, banks that are in like, let's say, Boston, Atlanta. We have FRBs, which are Federal Reserve Banks, in Los Angeles, San Diego. So the whole banking system is rather large. And you have FRBs in certain portions of the country, and you will send the checks around through the different places. And the banks themselves will make interest on the money that they had deposited with the FRB. So you could imagine one bank maybe takes it $1 million to $3 million a day in checks. And so they deposit those checks, they get sorted out, routed around. So that was really what got me interested in computer programming and in computers. Besides from writing games that locked up people's computers, it was sorting of checks and businesses like that got me into computer and into becoming a software engineer.
You earned a degree in computer programming. When did you pivot to writing?
Well, actually, I was writing before I became a computer programmer. See, the thing with writing short stories and writing stories and novels and computer programming, the thing they have in common is it's all creative. So somebody comes to you with a problem that they want you to write a program to solve. We need this thing here to dump information into this database, whatever. Can you write that, and could we get that information back out? Or we need something that will get addresses printed out into labels and that kind of thing. So it becomes a problem solving, but it also becomes a creative idea because there could be 1,000 different ways that you can create the program to do what you want it to do. People always think that computers think. They don't think, they just execute code, okay? We're getting into AI now, which is where you teach the computer what you want it to do and it learns by repetition. Sort of like the same way that you teach a child. A child learns to walk by watching other people walk. And they realize, okay, if I get standing up, get myself steady, and put one foot in front of the other, I can make it over there and get what I want. The real interesting thing is, if you have children, you'll notice that the first child takes a while to learn to walk. The second child, especially if you have them close enough together that the first child is only maybe a couple years, 2 years, 3 years older than a newborn, that newborn baby is going to learn to walk much faster because he can see how it's done on a level and a size that relates to him or her, right? So there's a relationship there where they're watching adults walk around. The relationship is skewed because this person is so much bigger. But when they're watching somebody, their siblings do it, hey, that person's the same size as me, and I can see the whole frame and the whole motion together. And so computers are like that too.
Okay, so let's talk about your book. The book is called The Moth and Other Tantalizing Tales. And as I mentioned in the introduction, it has 8 stories of mysteries, thrillers, and dystopian science fiction. You cover various genres. So when you start to write, how do you know what it is that you're going to be writing as far as genres is concerned? Or do you just, let your mind flow and your fingers do the typing kind of thing?
I always plan, I'm a plotter, so I always plan out my stories and everything. But the story idea tells me what type of story I'm going to write. So when I come up with an idea, I see something, I say, oh, that's an interesting concept. That's an interesting idea. And I immediately think, okay, this will make a good sci-fi story. Something comes along, let's say AI or something. All right, so that's naturally going to be a sci-fi story. But you could also think of it as a crime story. Maybe someone has an AI robot that they program to kill somebody. Now that becomes a crime story. It might be a little science fiction in there, but it's a who done it, how did they do it type of thing. You program the robot to kill somebody and then erase the memory. So that kind of thing, and that's how you kind of like find where the story's going to fit. It's like what story you trying to tell, and when you figure that out, you figure out, oh, this fits nicely in the sci-fi, or this fits nicely as a fantasy or a paranormal. So as I'm thinking of the story, it automatically falls into a bucket of, oh, this would be better told this way.
Do you have a favorite genre or do you love them all equally?
I love them all equally, and I used to be a sci-fi writer. I'm now more of a crime writer, and I'm going into writing horror and fantasy. So I jump around so much that I can't say I really have a favorite anymore. I used to really love writing sci-fi, and out of the 8 stories in here, in the Moth and Other Tantalizing Tale, I think like 5 of them are sci-fis. I would say at least 5 of them are sci-fi. The other 3 are probably paranormal and crime.
Well, writers are usually readers themselves, so do you have a favorite genre that you like to read?
Yeah, I read more fantasy, sci-fi stuff than anything else. I used to read a whole lot more, but now I read mostly stuff that people send me because I'm also a publisher. So, but before that, I was reading Stephen King and Asimov and different stories like that. But and then I got into writing programs and being a programmer, and I wrote and I read for years a lot of programming books because every time I would get another job, they would want me to know another language. So I spent a lot of years just going from one language to another to another. But now I'm back to reading, and some of it is for fun, and some of it is for business. Like when people send me a story or a book they want me to publish, I'm going to sit down and read that. And then, it's not up to me what the story's about, what genre it falls in. So I get stuff from all types of people, all types of stuff, and I read it all.
We're just about out of time, but I do have one more question, and that is, how does your degree in computer programming, how does it in any way, shape, or form affect what you write?
Okay, so computer programming really is a science-based degree. So there's electronics involved, there's language involved, there's machinery involved. All of that stuff really brings you heavily into the science fiction world. So when you're thinking about computers in this world, in our world now, computers play a big part of our life. It affects everything we do almost. And so as you're writing, you can almost always find something that is computer related or science related. And so it always comes into the program. Like the moth itself, the person in the moth is a computer hacker. He goes to jail for robbing banks. And when he comes out of jail, his boss wants him to hack into somebody's computer because the guy is trying to hack into this guy who's supposed to be a art dealer. That whole story revolves around some science related subjects, computers and what have you, but it's a crime story.
And again, the book is The Moth and Other Tantalizing Tales. You mentioned you have a publishing company. We should mention the name of that. That's Rock Hill Publishing, LLC. Thank you very, very much, James, for taking the time to be on the program with us. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me.
James L. Hill, author of a short story collection called The Moth and Other Tantalizing Tales. You can go to our website at thestuffile.com, check out the show number for this program, which is show number 0857, and you'll find the link to James's site, plus links to either Amazon.com or Amazon.ca, where you can order his book directly. You're listening to the Stuff File program with me, Peter Anthony Holder.
Giving you something to think about. This is Morning Shower Thoughts.
If a police officer doesn't get out of bed, does that make him an undercover cop?
Morning Shower Thoughts from the Stuff File program.
Got something for the mailbag? Drop Peter a line. He'd love to hear from you. Send your email to mailbag@thestuffile.com. And remember, stuff is spelled S-T-U-P-H. That's mailbag@thestuffile.com. Or catch up with him on Twitter or Facebook. There's more Stuff File coming your way in just a few moments.
Here are two of the many glowing reviews that Michael Liebling has received for his novel The Serial Killer's Son Takes a Wife. Arabella magazine says,
I couldn't put it down. I want more books like this, and I want more books written by Michael Liebling.
Best-selling author Nicholas Kaufman says,
The Serial Killer's Son Takes a Wife is sharp, funny, thrilling, and endlessly original.
The only unsolved mystery here is why you haven't read it yet. The Serial Killer's Son Takes a Wife is available wherever you find books.
Coming to you from Canada, a place where fighting is frowned upon, unless it's on an ice rink. This is the Stuff File program with Peter Anthony Holder.
Now, the Stuff File program presents The Weird Story of the Month with Marc Hartzman, the curator of WeirdHistorian.com.
And here we are with the weird story for the month of January. And Marc, I understand that this story is where everybody didn't necessarily put their best foot forward.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, this is a especially weird one. And by the way, thank you for the new intro. I love it. It's fun to hear. This is like I said, an especially weird one to kick off the new intro and kick off 2026. So before I get into the story, which you've nodded to already, I just want to say this story came about during a search for something different. I didn't go looking for this particular story because who would have known this would have existed? But I was looking for news about a performer I'd written about before. He was a sideshow performer named Francesco Lentini, and he was known as the Three-Legged Wonder because he had three legs. During my search for that, I came across this other story from January of 1915, and it was far weirder than anything I thought I would have ever found about the Three-Legged Wonder. This story discussed a case of a man who didn't have 3 legs, he only had 1 leg. And there were actually 2 one-legged men involved in this story. The headline for this article read, "One-legged man with 3-legged stool is before no-leg judge," which really grabbed my attention. It's like, okay, let's see what this is about. So I'll explain this, and it's going to be, it takes a little following here because it feels like a precursor to Abbott and Costello or something. So the first one-legged man, he co-owned a 2-seat barbershop. This was in Wiggins, Mississippi, and he co-owned it with a club-footed man. And at the back of the shop, the local justice of the peace rented space to use as his office in a courtroom. And the judge had no legs. He lost both of them in a train wreck that happened a few years earlier. So as this article continued, it described a little skirmish in a neighboring town that involved another one-legged man who then, quote, became a little unruly and assaulted a one-armed man with a 3-legged stool. So the one-armed man who used the 3-legged stool as a weapon was brought before the no-legged judge on assault charges against the one-armed man, with a separate one-armed man serving as a witness in the building that was owned by the one-legged man and the club-footed man I mentioned earlier. So we've got all that. So
I'm sorry. What town was this in?
Wiggins, Mississippi. Are you familiar with it?
Well, no, I'm not familiar with it. But whoever owns the glove and shoe store must have had a hell of a time back then.
Yes, sure, affected business a bit. So this offending one-legged man was then sentenced to 30 days at a county farm, where I guess he had to do labor. So I guess, and that's probably difficult because he was one-legged. At least he had his 2 arms, as far as I'm aware. So that's the weird story. A lot of strange things happening. It seems like such an amazing scene to see all these people gathered in one barber shop with various missing limbs, having a trial. And if you're wondering about the 3-legged man, Lentini, who clearly was not present in this, although he was around at this time, if you're wondering, he did have a 4th foot. So just to add to everything.
Well, wait a minute. You mentioned a 3-legged man, but he has a 4th foot?
Yeah, that was Francesco Lentini, who was the man I was researching when I stumbled across this other article about the one-legged man, no-legged man, and one-armed man, and the other no-legged man, as you recall.
So how did the trial come out, by the way?
The trial, so it ended with the one-legged man being sentenced to the county farm to labor, hard labor on the farm for a month, for 1 month.
What exactly is hard labor for a one-legged man?
Probably anything.
I love the headline. It's the Knoxville Sentinel?
Yes, January 4th, 1915. This ran in a bunch of newspapers. This is the clipping I grabbed for weirdhistorian.com, but this was a story, this was probably just a fun, sensational story that was spreading across newspapers. But wow, I mean, this is definitely one of the weirder ones I've come across. And I've come across a lot of weird ones, as you've heard.
The headline, "One-legged man with 3-legged stool is before no-leg judge," has got to be now the second best headline that I've ever seen.
What's the first?
Well, you're in New York, so it comes from your neck of the woods.
Oh, I know where this is going.
April 15th, 1983.
Yes.
Do you know that one?
Is this the topless?
Yeah, headless body and topless bar.
Right.
Yeah. And we should give credit to where credit's due. Vincent A. Macedo was the person who wrote that headline.
Yeah, that is a good one. But yeah, I'm glad to have found something that's about on par with that.
Absolutely. It's behind by a leg, literally.
Exactly. That's right.
Before we let you go, I understand you went on an extreme vacation.
Well, we were just in Italy for about 2 weeks, but we saw lots of strange things.
And I was about to say, when you go someplace, you look for strange things. What did you find?
Well, I visited Galileo's finger, which is always nice to do if you're in Florence. Galileo's finger was, I don't know if we've talked about this on the stuff file before or not, but it's on Weird Historian.
Yes, we did.
But his finger was taken from his casket, basically, when it was moved into Santa Croce, where he was then entombed. So that finger has been passed around, but it's currently on display at the Galileo Museum. So it's great to see Galileo's finger in person. And let's see what else. We saw a lot of anatomical models at the La Specula Museum, which is amazing. It's a huge museum full of taxidermy of almost every creature imaginable. And like I said, anatomical models of the human body. You see the brain, all, various sections and so forth. And really remarkable. So that was, I was fascinated by that. Mummies, saw mummified foot, hand, some other Egyptian mummies. You could see the actual pieces right there in front of you. Those were some of the weirder ones that definitely stood out. Oh, and then just a lot of the paintings. You go into different cathedrals, and they're gorgeous. Beautiful old cathedrals. And one of them in San Gimignano, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, has a cathedral with just massive paintings across every wall. Huge. It's like a storybook across the whole inside this cathedral. But then on one wall, everything's very religious, right? But then you have a whole massive wall of scenes of hell, demons attacking people. It's horrific. And that was interesting to see, just right there, clearly, I guess, making the point of, be good or this is where you go. But that was unexpected to see. It was very violent. Like I said, massive paintings that go back centuries.
You are the curator of weirdhistorian.com, and when you travel on a vacation like this, it's not necessarily a run of the mill type of vacation. I'm assuming that you're going with your wife and your two daughters. Have they given up to the idea of, going to Disneyland or something that might be considered semi-normal?
We get some of the normal stuff in too, so we balance it out. We've done many Universal Studios vacations, and we hit some of the more obviously the touristy places that you got to go when you're there. But I like to seek out these stranger things, and some of them I don't know that we're going to see these weird things there. They find me. They're there if you look for them.
You gravitate to it.
But they're good. They put up with me.
Anyway, once again, Marc, thank you very much. Belated New Year's to you. And I look forward to what you might have to share with us in February.
Sounds good. I'll look forward to it. Thank you.
Marc Hartzman, the curator of weirdhistorian.com and also the publisher at curiouspublications.com. He's the author and curator of several books. His latest one is The Talking Dead, a collection of messages from beyond the veil, 1850s to 1920s. You can go to our website at thestuffile.com, check out the show number for this program, which is show number 0857, and you'll find the link to Marc's sites, plus links to either Amazon.com or Amazon.ca, where you can order his books directly. You're listening to the Stuff File program with me, Peter Anthony Holder. And we're just about a racetrack on this edition of the Stuff File program. We do have an Idiot of the Day coming your way in just a matter of moments. But first, I've got another Stuff File news story to share with you. Now, I've been to Buffalo several times to see the NFL's Buffalo Bills play. They're getting a new stadium next season, which is built right next door to the existing one. Die-hard Bills fans can purchase the urinal troughs from Highmark Stadium's men's restrooms before the facility gets demolished. Said Collectible Exchange founder Brandon Steiner, "There's definitely the troughs in the bathroom. There's some stuff in some of the suites that are interesting. Great photos, stuff maybe in the locker rooms that could be kind of quirky, and one-offs." Collectible Exchange partnered with Erie County to salvage items from the current stadium, with the county receiving 50% of sales proceeds. Available items include single stadium seats for $550, pair seats for $650, double bleacher seats for $550, seat backs for $100, and turf pieces also for $100. Each purchase includes authentication certificates and numbered holograms. I can see this stuff going like hotcakes, especially to people who were season ticket holders who want their old seat. But urinal troughs? I just picture the guy who buys them and brings them home and saying, "Honey, I got some memorabilia we just had to have." Yeah, I'm sure his wife will be amused. And that's literally pissing money away. Anyway, boys and girls, it's that moment you've all been waiting for. It's time now for the Idiot of the Day.
And now it's time for the strange things adults do. This Stuff File presents the Idiot of the Day.
In Florida, the Cape Coral Police Department have arrested a man accused of child negligence after his 5-year-old child was found carrying a loaded handgun inside their backpack into Trafalgar Elementary School. Police arrested 50-year-old James Edward Wilson on January the 8th after the school's screening system, which is called Open Gate, alerted the staff and prompted law enforcement to search the student's backpack where they found the firearm. Authorities said the student was isolated when the firearm was discovered. Investigators found that the student was unaware of the gun's presence, leading them to question the parents. The child's father admitted to placing the weapon into the backpack, but forgot to remove it. Wilson now faces charges of child neglect, a felony, and improper storage of a firearm, a misdemeanor. Now, it's one thing to be forgetful and not remember that you put a loaded handgun into a 5-year-old's backpack, but why? Oh, why? Would you even put a loaded handgun into a 5-year-old's backpack in the first place? One reason, and one reason only. You're an idiot!
Gee, I'm only a kid, but even I know you're an idiot.
And that's it for this edition of the Stuff File program, number 0857. Hope you enjoyed it. The website is thestufffile.com, and once again, stuff is spelled S-T-U-P-H, where you'll find information and links on all of our guests by going to the weekly Stuff File page. Just look for the corresponding program number, and once again, that's 0857. Email me at peter@thestufffile.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Spoutable, Mastodon, and Blue Sky as PA Holder. Check us out on patreon.com, or you can become a patron of the program. Hope to see you back here for our next show on the air, online, or as a download. We're coming to you from everywhere, including kdxradio.com, over the air on World FM in New Zealand, WNRHLP-FM in Newport Richey, Florida, KZZHLP-FM in Eureka, California, CKUW-FM in Winnipeg, CFMU in Hamilton, CKLU in Sudbury, Local 107.3 FM in St. John, CHSR in Fredericton, and also streaming on just about any streaming service your little heart desires. That's it. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Stuff File program with Peter Anthony Holder, a presentation of Flying Fish Communications. Void where prohibited, offer slightly different in Canada. For a complete transcript of this program, next time write down everything Peter says.